I can't do this. I'm a mom now.
I can't do this
anymore.
Very quickly, it will eliminate a lot of people in general.
Accountability.
Mm-hmm. And I'm learning. I found commercial agents that I could send a referral, and they would send me their residential referrals.
Hi, y'all. Welcome to Hustle Humbly. It's Alyssa and Katie, and we are two top producing realtors in the Baton Rouge market.
We work for two different companies where we should be competitors, but we have chosen community over competition.
The goal of our podcast is to encourage you to find your own way in business.
So stop comparing yourself and start embracing your strengths. Hi, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's episode 127. Working with investors.
It's been a long time since we did a good, meaty, technical, information.
Don't get their hopes all up. I don't know how meaty. Is this going to be really meaty?
Well, instead of talking about
fluff, no fluff?
Yeah, it's not really fluffy. It's just kind of investors.
Technical.
Yes, more technical. We haven't done a technical in a while.
I'm for it. To set the scene for everyone, my throat's a little scratchy and I'm eating one of these ninjam herbal candies from Terry Watson. So
he said they work magic.
For your voice.
Yes.
He also gave us that liquid gel.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, like a little tube.
We put it in our tea that time.
We just openly took it from him and ingested it and hardly know him at all.
We live to tell about it.
There you go. So I'm drinking my hot tea and having my herbal candy.
Great.
Hopefully I won't clear my throat or cough in anyone's ears. Okay, are we gonna do
the flip report?
Let's hear it.
It's basically finished.
Ooh.
The language barrier with the contractor is really starting to
rear its ugly head.
Yeah, it's just okay, so example, he texted me.
Okay.
We did the back fence. New wood fence. It was a chain link fence. You could just see everything into the neighbors.
Exposed.
So I said yes. That was always on the plan. So he texted me the 2 chain link fences on the side and said, "What about these?" I said, "Just leave them because I don't think it matters. You can't really see them.
Okay.
They're on the side." So I said, "No, leave them." Well, I show up and there's new fencing. It looks amazing. It looks wonderful.
Do you think that he is making executive decisions on his own?
I don't see how he could have not understood unless leave them means
build new fences.
Build new fence. Obviously the no part would be clear, but I said no, leave them. So I just don't know.
I see.
Where
you're having to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I think he's unilaterally making decisions.
I think he couldn't help himself.
He was like, "It looks bad.
Yes.
Must fix fence.
Must fix fence." And I have to say, it looks incredible.
Great.
It needed to be done. Would it have mattered selling it wise? Probably not.
It's too late now.
But it looks really nice. So I'm fine with it.
Okay.
He forgot that I wanted wood shelves in the kitchen on that big open buffet area.
Well, he spent his wood budget on the fence.
Yeah. So he was
shelves.
like, "Oh," and I wanted to be like, "I showed you that 3 pictures," and he even drew it one time on the sheetrock. So
he just forgot.
I guess he forgot that. We realized that there is not an outlet in the fully tiled master bathroom.
Oh my word.
I guess it just was an oversight. So he is going to have to figure out a way to put the outlet back in the master bathroom. Because you have to have outlets in there.
Oh, no.
He says, "It's fine. Yes, see, I got this." I'm like, "Great, wonderful."
Okay. How did you notice that there was not an outlet?
So there's a neighbor who has a friend who is potentially very interested in the home.
Got it.
And the neighbor, every time that my contractor is there, her and her friend go. They've been 5 times.
They're hanging out,
planning.
They told him to build a fence.
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of I'm wondering. She said that she was really interested. I'm kind of waiting to hear back on everything.
Okay.
But she had even talked to him about making a few modifications. She's an artist and wants the sunroom to be her
studio.
Art studio.
Love that.
She loves the barn door that opens into the sunroom from the master.
Perfect.
I thought, great, wonderful. Try not to be too optimistic about it, but she seems very interested. She pointed it out. she was like, I was looking in the master bathroom and there's not an outlet in there. And I said, surely. And I went and...
Oh, there was not.
There was not. So he says it's fine, that he can fix it. I don't know how.
Is there tile on the
whole wall?
I understand the whole wall where the mirror is, but is there tile on the other wall? Can you just put it across?
It would be like by the toilet. It's a small master bath.
Well, that's why I'm thinking wherever you get the outlet, it's fine.
It might be fine, but I don't know.
He's handling it.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to be.
Whatever.
I have no idea where it's going to be. I forgot that we need bathroom mirrors. Just like totally forgot.
Did you send Whitney to the Hobby Lobby?
I did. So she's picking them out.
Great.
She also got the cabinet hardware.
Mm-hmm.
And she laid them out exactly where they need to go.
Okay.
I'm not sure that they were put where they're supposed to go, though.
Oh.
It looks fine.
Okay.
But Whitney was like, I don't know. So she's out this week. So I'm waiting on her to meet with him Monday to just be like...
Put this where it goes.
Yes. Yeah. But just trying to figure that out, too.
Okay.
So, all these little details, I'm just not here for it.
Right. You look completely burned out on this.
I'm just like, I have trouble caring.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You're like, I don't care.
It was funny. Whitney was in Home Depot sending me pictures. I said, you pick. Sent me more pictures. You pick. I don't care. I don't care at all. You tell me what you need.
This is just so amazing to me.
I just can't.
I would care too much, which is why I'm not doing a flip.
My brain is like, I know I should care. And then I get mad at myself sometimes that I'm not.
Who cares?
So anyways, it's
wow.
I'm thinking by the end of next week, I'll have like photos and it'll be ready.
Are you going to do some light staging or no?
I think I am.
Okay, I love it.
Now I'm going to wait and hear about the neighbor.
Okay.
And if they're like really interested,
you're going to give them a deadline?
Yep. And she's working on getting pre-approved.
Ah, okay.
So she was pre-approved.
Okay.
But it's just trying to figure out, the
details.
What she wants to do. Yeah.
Got it.
So, I feel good about it. I'm excited for it to be on the market.
Okay.
I think the pictures, even if I have a buyer ahead of time, I'm going to take photos of it.
You got to. Well, look, the people here are going to beat down your door and want the photos.
I need to find someone to do like a real video.
Yeah, do that.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So it's
the flip report.
It's all good.
The end. Okay, so this week we're going to talk about working with investors as their agent. Previous investor episodes were 51 and 52, and those were really talking about the journey as the investor.
Yes.
Now we're going to talk about the journey of the realtor working with the investor, which is totally different.
Very different.
So different.
I am at a point in my career, I think you are too, where we have chosen not to work with investors.
Yes. Tell us why for you, and I'll tell you why for me.
The why for me is because the work, it's a business decision. The work it was taking for the money I was making was not matching up well. So it was actually, it got to where it was a poor business decision based on where I was in my business.
Yeah. Also, as an investor yourself, you're kind of competition for your own clients.
Yeah, sometimes. Every now and then.
Once in a while.
Every now and then.
I still do occasionally. I have a list of my investor people who are not that's the only thing they do. But, if I come across a good deal, they would be interested in keeping it as a rental. Something like that doesn't bother me. But over the course of the 16 years I've been doing this, you just know the thing. I listen to Here Comes the New Investor. I listened to this TV show, radio show, podcast, read a book. I'm going to be an investor.
Yes.
This is the smartest way to invest my money, and I'm going to do it. So can you find me a flip? And then I have to very kindly say, well, there are a lot of investors in our market who've been doing this so long that they have a big pile of cash and they just swoop in and buy anything that they need and want to flip with cash. Do you have cash? No. Okay. Well, maybe we start somewhere else.
Right.
Would you like to buy a rental that you could hang on to for a few years and then potentially sell? I mean, there's other ways you can invest, but there's just not this big, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Right.
And they're like,
So that was
gung-ho
another
about
thing.
it.
Not only the actual real estate part of working with investors, but the beginning screening, educating, explaining. I was spending hours
and it's
educating people on what it means to be an investor.
Yep.
And then a lot of times it resulted in them realizing they weren't ready.
No.
It wasn't for them, whatever the case may be. So I was doing a lot of free coaching.
A lot of free coaching.
And then if they decided to be an investor, yes, I have my 20%.
Right.
The houses that they would send are not houses that I would buy. So I was having trouble advising my clients.
Right.
Because they would say, well, this meets my criteria. I don't care about the area. And I'm like, but I do.
Right.
I'm having a hard time because they want my input.
Yeah.
And I have told them before, and I'm not sharing it, so don't ask. But
she looked right in the camera and was like, I am not sharing it.
I wrote a personal email
Okay.
in my email template.
You've mentioned it before.
About why I don't work with investors anymore.
Because it is a personal decision.
Yes, and I wrote my personal reasons. The market is so tough. I am very conservative. I have trouble advising clients who are investors because I don't always agree with what they're looking for.
Right.
There is a shortage. There are investors in our market. I had to make the business decision. However, this agent can help you.
Okay, great. You just refer them.
Yes. So if you are feeling that way, you can write your own email explaining why or why not you work with investors. I wrote that one time and thought, this is great. I need to save it as a template.
Right.
So I have it. Now, that being said, there is one investor that I have had almost since the beginning of my career.
Okay.
For a while there, before the market was what it is now, he was almost the reason why I was like, I can't do this anymore.
No.
And it was hard because he's such a nice guy. We got along.
Right.
But I would dread seeing his name in my text messages.
Like, I don't want to.
And it was all these addresses, like 8 addresses at a time.
Right.
And he would just say, hey, write up offers on these.
Oh.
And here's the thing that people don't always realize with investors. If they are foreclosures or distressed properties, they are owned by all different banks.
Right.
Every bank has a different system or protocol that they use to submit an offer. I was having to learn all these different systems. What did they require? Not just a proof of funds letter, but a proof of funds letter with that address on it.
Yeah.
With the current date.
Right.
With all the information on, like, very specific. I'm sure it wasn't just me that cringed. I'm sure his banker was like, you need 9 proof of funds letters with all these different addresses. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. And they would just always come back rejected.
Right, because they don't want it
or
for
no
market
response.
value. They have to get it for less or else it's not a good investment.
Right.
Well,
so it was just a lot. And it made me realize I can't do this.
It's 2 totally different animals. Working with your standard buyers and sellers who are that are buying and selling their own homes, right? Owner occupants are about the emotions and the lifestyle and, like, where are we in regards to my work commute and school, whatever. Investors are just all about the numbers.
Yes.
And they are going to work you to the bone, which is fine. If you're early in your career, I do think that an investor client is a great client because if you've got the time to do the research, they're going to repeat buy.
I learned so much in my first few years working with investors. It was the hardest work I ever did.
Oh, yeah.
Most time consuming. I took classes. So here's the other thing too. If you are a new agent and you realize that you are attracting investors, as tends to happen in those early years, you need to look up in your marketplace. Like, I took how to buy a HUD home. Yeah. Best class I ever took, made working with investors 20 times easier. Anytime I saw it was a HUD foreclosure, I was just like, whew, I know exactly what to do. And I was able to do it quickly and efficiently. Home Path was a totally different.
Yeah. But let's go back to HUD homes for a minute. I haven't showed one in so long.
There's not many out there right now.
Is there still just one key?
I don't know.
So before, let's call it, I don't know, 6 to 7, 10 years ago, there was a singular HUD home key. And every house was keyed to the same key.
What?
So once you were a HUD approved agent,
You could have
you had the key, the keys to the kingdom.
Wow.
And the key would open all of the houses. Surely it's not the same anymore.
I don't believe it is that way.
So crazy.
But if you are, so nothing will make you more aggravating to work with as a cooperating agent than trying to fill out a foreclosure contract and calling the listing agent only to be referred to the tutorials on the HomePath website or whatever website the listing agents typically know nothing about the property.
Yeah.
There is no property disclosure.
No.
They will not turn utilities on most of the time.
No.
The inspections are FYI only.
Yep.
I mean, the list goes on and on, but these are things that you need to just be prepared for. I remember when I was new and they would say, hey, can you tell me about this house? I felt like I needed to find something out. I felt like I couldn't say, well, because this is a foreclosure, there is no history.
Yeah.
But that's just what you say.
That's it.
That's all you say.
No history, no disclosure, no nothing. I would like to give a, I don't know, shout out to the listing agents on these foreclosures. Y'all, I mean, they may seem like they're not being helpful or friendly or whatever, but they take like hundreds of these listings. The bank works them to the bone too. Yeah. They're constantly having to do BPOs and reports and go check on the property or whatever it is that bank requires. It's not a glamorous listing operation.
No.
And I don't know what it is these days, but it's not like they're making the standard market commissions. So be mindful that they're probably not going to help you and they are burned out. They're burned out.
Don't call the listing agent. You have to figure it out on your own. You have to set up your own accounts for each different website. And then once you have accounts, that is kind of where the information is.
Yeah.
If you want to know, are there offers? What's the deadline?
Yeah.
Once you make an account and log into these different foreclosure websites, it will say they are taking offers through tomorrow at noon. And then tomorrow at noon comes and sometimes it says, we are now taking offers 25 days from now.
You're like, oh.
I've seen them change that time frame. They extend it and they extend it. We have made offers 10, 20,000 over list and lost. And you just never know.
Right.
You never know. But I have to say, I got so good at writing contracts and I really understood all the different ins and outs of the different banks and the difference between a short sale and a foreclosure. And now, I was always really excited when he would send me an address and it was just a normal house that was dirty and needed repair, but was not a bank owned. It's the bank owned stuff that was always so challenging.
Right.
But when it was just, a house someone inherited that was in poor shape.
Yeah.
At least you can just deal with the regular purchase agreement. And
those are probably the best deals.
They are. They really
the bank
are.
Typically doesn't list a foreclosure below market value. They list it at the condition it's at.
Right.
So it appears to be below market value, but then you get in there and you're like, oh, it needs $50,000 of work. That's why it's priced $50,000 below market value. It's just not. It's not the same as like an estate sale or something where maybe they're just trying to unload it and they don't really.
Right.
They don't care about the market value as much. Like you're just like, let's just get out of this thing. Okay. So some of the thing that I think you need to prepare for when you're working with your investor client is they want a lot of research done.
So much research. I have that written down.
So much research. So they're going to want comps for the current value, comps for the renovated value, comps for the rental market. Like, what do you think it could sell for if I renovated in 2 years? I've had them ask me all the things. So you're pulling comps and comps on comps, and they need to know it because it is all about the numbers.
Yeah.
If they don't know the numbers, they can't even make a decision. But they'll always come to you and want to make an offer less than whatever they said was.
In the template course, do we have the market update template about the CMA summary?
I think
because
so.
Whenever I have an investor that sends me tons of addresses, I would copy and paste that and say, see attached CMA summaries, and then the email explains like what the CMA summary is and how to read it.
Yeah.
And I would just let the investor
You figure it out.
Right. I would say, here is the numbers on that subdivision.
Yeah.
Let me know what you think.
Yeah. I mean, an experienced investor can figure it out.
Yes. And I also, so I had in my notes, you cannot be the CPA.
No.
You cannot be the financial advisor. You are the real estate agent.
Right.
So interpreting market data is fine. Answering questions about how much will I have to pay on taxes if I flip this? What if I keep it as a rental? So, for example, on my flip that I'm doing right now, I learned that 41% of my profit has to go to taxes.
Holy smokes.
Based on like current tax bracket. They explained to me, so I don't flip houses often. I always just have rental property.
Yeah.
So I haven't sold a flip house in a good minute.
Yeah.
So they were like, if it's a flip and you're selling quickly, then it's what you're taxed at whatever income tax bracket you're in at that time.
Okay.
On your net profit. So if I have, for easy math, if I have 200 after renovations and I sell it for 300, then I have $100,000 profit. So $41,000 is going to taxes.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, if I keep it for 2 years as a rental, there is a certain tax I no longer owe anymore, and it goes down to like 35%.
Not that big of a difference.
It's not that big of a difference. And then you might have to spend money to fix it up. All of this to say, every person is different. Every income bracket is different. You need to have an email that you can show if something ever happened. Hey, I told you at that time that you really needed to consult with your CPA or your financial advisor on that.
Right. Don't come back yelling at me.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and especially inexperienced investors, they have all those questions and they don't even know what to ask. They don't. I had a past client who was an owner occupant. I have sold their house. They bought a new house, sold them that. He called and said, I would like to start investing. This is my budget, and I would like ideally to get a fourplex. And I was like,
Doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist, but that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't become an investor, but maybe you need a more entry level. Well, here's what you can afford. You can get a 2-bedroom condo or a 1-bedroom, whatever. Like they don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know. They're not following the market
educating.
For that. Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of coaching and educating, and you're right. It takes a lot of time, and you're going to spin your wheels a lot to get a deal done. Hey, Lissa.
Hey, Katie.
Guess what?
What?
We have updated the email templates.
Finally.
Whoa. Hallelujah. They are updated, and there are more of them.
Yes, we have 10 buyer templates, 15 seller templates, as well as a checklist for when to send all the emails at what point in the transaction.
Yes, so you don't have to guess when they go. It's very specific. This happened now, then you send this email. So
this is what they need to know.
This is what they need to know right now. Also, there are 6 attachments that go along with some of the seller side. So like move out checklist and showing prep or all that stuff. So there's all the information you will ever need to tell your clients in one of these templates.
Yes, and if you still aren't sure, you can go back and listen to episode 31, where we talk about the importance of the templates and why we use them.
Like, what are we even doing?
So we hope that they help you, because they have helped us so much.
Immensely.
And we have gotten so many wonderful reviews about how they have helped others, and so now they are up to date and ready for you.
Yeah, and you can go read reviews and all the information at emailtemplates101.com.
Lovely.
How easy is that?
Great.
Okay, y'all enjoy.
Bye. Another thing I did that was helpful to me once I started getting a few investors was setting up 1 or 2, 3 different MLS searches. And anytime someone was like, oh, I'm interested in, I would just added them to receive notifications from that search I had set up.
Oh, that makes sense.
So
a lot of people were getting the same one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they were responding differently. Like, no, I never really had a situation where
they both wanted it.
No, but even if they did, I wouldn't mind writing 2 offers for 2 different clients, because I just tell them, you have to tell me what it's worth to you. What would you like? Okay, great. And then like neither of them could win.
Right.
That's one thing I do wish. I wish we knew how many offers we were going up against. But a lot of time the bank, you don't know how many. Mm-mm. And sometimes I've had them tell, I've submitted offers before where they say, we take 10 days to process offers, but if you didn't hear from us, you didn't get it. Thanks. But like my clients are like, hey, any word?
No word means you didn't get it.
No word. Nope. Guess we lost again.
And with banks, they just make their own rules.
Right.
So maybe there was, like you said before, maybe there was a deadline, then all of a sudden the deadline is different. Or maybe they took your offer and then all of a sudden they're like, no, we're not going to do that anymore.
No. Yeah.
They don't care. They just don't care. This year's, the 2021 mandatory education class for our market was investing.
Right.
I don't remember the name of it, but it was about investing. There was so much math in it.
Yeah.
I will tell you, early in my career, I took a commercial, kind of like intro to commercial real estate class where I learned about cap rate and how to do that math. It was a full 8-hour class. Okay?
Of math.
Basically of math. And the different types of commercial properties and commercial appraisals and talking about all of this stuff. It was vital for me to have that knowledge so that when these novice investors, came to me, I could be like, well, here's some of the things you want to think about. Mm-hmm. Do you even know what a cap rate is? They're like, what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. What does that mean? So in 2016, when we had the flood here, investors flooded our market from everywhere, which is apparently common after a natural disaster. So I got pretty good, and we had a lot of distressed property, right? So I got pretty good about figuring out what do I have to ask, because some of them were not from away. Some of them were local people like, well, maybe I would like to invest in a flooded and gutted home.
Right.
So then I came up with my questionnaire.
I love your questionnaire. Share, please.
Do you want to hear the questions?
Yeah.
Here are my investor questions.
So this was for any investor that you got?
Yeah.
This is the
if any investor,
intake that you send? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I would just add, it was sort of like my intake form I would ask in the conversation.
Yeah.
But so I didn't forget. Is cap rate important? That's a great one because then if they're like, huh?
What
is that?
Just lets me know where you are.
And y'all, I'm not going to walk you through what a capitalization rate is because the math is somewhat complex, but it's basically the rent over a year minus all of the expenses you have for that property and the value of the home or the value of the property will give you a capitalization rate. Okay. Look, when I first started the business, 10 would be a great cap rate.
Okay.
People say, I want a 10. Some investors maybe will go down to 8. Like I don't even know what current investors say anymore.
Yeah.
But that's the deal. So I would ask them if that's important because you need to know.
As an investor, I've never
done
this math or considered cap rates.
Okay. But it is a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is, do you want a certain appreciation? And the point of this question is, are we buying a property in a maybe declining area because of the prices, or do you want maybe a newer house that's going to appreciate more quickly? Like, what do you need it to appreciate? And then the next one is, does it need to be desirable for rent or resale or both?
Right.
Are you just trying to rent it? That's a totally different ballgame than if you want to resell it. Mm-hmm. And how long before you would resell it? Are you keeping it for 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, 2? Mm-hmm. What is it? The next one is, do you need to cash flow a certain amount? So if this is a long-term investment in an appreciating area, are we just letting the renter pay your mortgage?
Right.
Or are you looking for this income to come in every month and, be more than what it takes to take care of the property?
I have some investors. Okay. It's 2 guys that work together. They buy better homes than my other investor, but still kind of hit or miss at times. But the numbers aren't great to me. But they're like, well, Alyssa, we're not trying to make money each month. Like, we both have full-time jobs. We're not doing this for income.
No.
But one day, these tenants will have paid off the mortgages.
Right.
All the mortgages.
Yeah.
So we don't care if it's breaking even every month. Mm-hmm. Because one day we'll just have all these houses that are paid off that we've never paid for.
Right.
And so that was that investor's that was
model.
what they wanted.
That was their model.
My other investor is he pays cash. He just wants, things that he can, little things that he can rent out for $800 to $1,500 a month. If it's a nicer home every now and then, we just flip it. He doesn't do any renting at all. But I like how you said, some investors don't care if the value declines.
No, because those are typically cash flowing.
Yes.
Because they paid very little for them.
Yep.
Someone pays the rent every month. That's money in their pocket. They don't care, if the house value goes down. Next question. What type of property? Do you want an attached property, a detached single family, a multifamily? Like, what kind of property are you looking for? If you're getting a condo, are you prepared for condo fees? That's money that's not going towards your mortgage and is never coming back.
Right.
So that one. And then this is my own, not my own, but after a while of doing this, you kind of figure people out. I said, is age important? Do you want a new build? That's great because you get a builder warranty. There's less maintenance for probably a longer period of time. Or do you want existing construction? It already has the blinds and the appliances and the fence. Like, what are you doing with the house?
Yeah.
So I've had investors that have done, and I think a lot of investors in our market, especially Asian investors, it seems like, love to buy brand new construction, tract built homes.
Yes.
I don't have to put a lot of, you have at least one. I don't have to put a lot of time and effort into maintaining it. The value should stay the same or go up. They're easy to rent because they're new. The end.
That's I'm like, you get what you pay for.
Right.
I would personally rather pay more
Yeah.
to get better location, to get better quality, which then brings you a better tenant.
Right.
If it's a crap hole and somebody wants to rent it,
Right.
what kind of person wants to rent it?
Right.
That's comfortable
like how
living there.
stable of a renter.
Yeah.
I know there's
Yeah.
a lot of things to take into account.
Turnover
Is huge.
It
Like,
is,
what is
yeah.
the vacancy rate? Your qualification, you've told us before, is that you feel like you'd want to be able to live in the house.
Yes.
So
Something happened and I needed to live there.
I gotta be okay with that.
Yep.
All right. The last two questions on my list are: what is your price range and is location important?
Okay.
Just like any buyer.
Yeah.
And what is your time frame? And is there, is it cash? Is it financed? Is there a 1031 exchange deadline involved? Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
So those are my questions. And that's what I use to figure out what they're most. And very quickly, it will eliminate a lot of people in general. They'll just be like, oh, whoa, wait. This is a lot more involved than I thought it was going to be. I thought I would just run out and buy this mysterious, magical, under market value property and have this great tenant. And because a lot of times they're talking to investors who've been in the market 20 years.
Yeah.
So look at all the money I made off of my investment. Well, that's great, but it's a long-term play.
Right. This didn't happen overnight.
Right.
The investor that would send me several addresses and say make offers and we'd lose and we'd lose and we'd lose. One day we won.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, we won. It was $65,000. This was 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I called him. I'm like, hey, we won. He's like, what? I said,
No
yeah.
way.
He said, well, I guess I better go. So I don't go to any of these houses.
Right.
So he said, I'll go check it out. He just goes by himself and drives by. He's like, oh, you got to cancel that. It's bad. I said, well, what did you think? And so that was
what turned.
That was what made me go,
I'm done.
can't. I said, what name can I make up for him? Mr. John?
Right.
I can't do this anymore.
Wait, look, you said Mr. John. Read my mug right now.
Don't make me go Beth Dutton on you.
So you bethed him. You were like,
I
listen,
bethed him.
John.
Yes, listen, John. I said, I can't do this anymore. It makes me look bad. It wastes a lot of time.
Right.
You're not doing I'm over here researching. You're not doing any of the research.
Right.
I said, I can't do this anymore. So we were friends at this point because we've worked together for so many years. And there has been 3, he's actually finishing his 4th houses that he paid 80 for that I end up listing for $250.
Oh,
so
it's worth it.
If you can
a little,
suffer through the 80s,
Yes.
then you can get some decent return on your time.
Okay.
But there's nothing. This has nothing to do with saying I don't work that price range anymore.
No, it's the time.
It's not about being a snob. It's about evaluating it as a real business decision.
Yeah.
And figuring out what your capable to do and, what's worth it with your time. So I told him, I'm not doing this. He apologized, and I said, and he begged, like, I don't want to work with anybody else. We've worked together for so long. I'm sorry. I said,
I'm
this
sorry,
is
I
the
won't
deal.
do this anymore.
I said, you don't send me an address, any address, unless you have driven by it.
And what did he say?
Okay.
All right, Beth.
Great. I said, no more sight unseen offers. It's one thing to drive by, but you need to get your guy over there and look at it.
Do your research.
I said, guess what? I'm not going.
Right.
So none of these houses, like, you just go. Like, they're not.
They're open.
Yeah. They're either open or you just look in the window and figure it out. Like, I said, I'm not going to these places. I can't do this. I'm a mom now.
I can't do
this anymore. So he said, okay. I'm like, this is basically what you do anyway.
Right.
Just do it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Before you bring me in.
Right.
And so he said, fine. So the one that he bought recently, I never went.
Okay.
He bought it earlier this year. And
Please tell me this is the one where they renovated it before.
No, that was a different one.
Okay.
But same guy. But yeah, so I'll be listing it at the end of this month for like $250. So,
great.
But I've never even seen it.
Wow.
Never been there. I'm familiar with where it is, but I've never been there.
Okay.
That to say, when you have investors, you need to be the authoritative figure to say, wonderful. Okay, now that you've answered all of my intake, let me let you know how this works.
Yeah.
You will be driving by the homes before we go look at them.
Yeah.
Because you need to know what the surrounding areas are and that you're comfortable with them before we make any appointments to go inside the home. There are several that you can go inside of.
Right.
Those are the ones especially, they need to drive by before they call you.
Yeah.
It's part of them being serious investors and doing their due diligence. So asking, have you driven by it yet? Needs to be a question that you ask pretty regularly. How did you feel about the area? How did you feel about that? But the initial screening, like making sure that they have a banker or lender on standby to send all the pre-approval letters, all the proof of funds letters, making sure they actually are pre-approved. I tell new agents all the time, when a buyer comes to you and is either pre-approved or proof of funds, you need to call whoever banker lender is on that letter and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And say, I'm going to be working with Mr. John. I saw that you're going to be handling the financing, so we have a mutual client.
Right.
I just wanted to give you my contact information in case you ever needed anything from me during this process. So everyone needs to be in communication to avoid you running the streets only to end in heartbreak.
Right. Agreed. Okay, here's the next thing that I started doing in my business.
Okay.
I would have past clients a lot of times sphere people or database people who would contact me and be like, I would like to, I need to rent an office building. Or I would like to rent a restaurant space.
Okay.
I was just like, okay, great. I have a wonderful commercial agent I would be happy to refer you to.
Yes.
It is very difficult to play both games because they're so vastly different.
Yes.
Okay. Commercial agents are business hours peeps. They don't respond like, the world's going to end if they don't respond to your offer or, whatever. There are letters of intent and different due diligence period. Like, it's all different.
Yeah.
It's all different. Just because you have a real estate license and you're allowed to sell commercial real estate doesn't mean it's the right thing to do for your clients.
Right.
You don't have the knowledge base necessary for that. I have done leases before for like my hair person.
Yeah.
So we went and looked at all these, commercial properties and had to learn about parking spots and, personal guarantees. And I'm like, oh my word.
Right.
This is a lot.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
You're also setting yourself up, if you really don't know what you're doing, for liability.
Yes. So a lot of times I think new agents maybe don't even realize, commercial agents are pretty specialized. You and I were talking about this before we started recording. I mean, there are retail agents, there are industrial agents, there are office space agents. It's all different. They don't necessarily, all do all the same thing.
No.
Okay. Or they're like land lease and, whatever. Whatever. I mean, they have their own friggin' database.
Our local property management companies even require you to be an intern before they'll let you start actually doing commercial deals.
Well,
not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. So it doesn't mean you can't do it, but it does mean you need to put some extra time into the education piece, or simply find a commercial agent that is very good and you can have a relationship with and send them the referral.
Yeah,
I found
that's what I
commercial agents that I could send a referral and they would send me their residential referrals.
Yep, I have that.
So it works out fine.
It makes it all so nice.
Yeah.
So nice and easy.
So nice. Okay, what else about working with your investors?
So the other thing that I found challenging that you need to be prepared for and knowledgeable about is that when the investors are looking for homes, you'll start getting all sorts of things that aren't even in our MLS. They want to know about the pre-foreclosures on Zillow.
Yes.
Are they real?
Yes.
Are they not?
Are they real?
Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. And even if it is a pre-foreclosure, it is not ready to make an offer on.
No. Oh, I took a great continuing ed that was required, I think, a couple of years ago on foreclosures.
Yeah.
And just what is the process? In Louisiana, the process is crazy.
It's terrible.
It's crazy.
It's terrible, yeah.
So we won't get into it, but be able to verbalize it to your clients.
You need to write your own. If you are working with investors, you need to have your own email templates explaining what it means in your specific marketplace.
Yeah.
I had a client whose house showed up as a pre-foreclosure on Zillow, and they had no idea why.
Oh my God.
I said, "Did you miss a payment?" Because they do pull sometimes from
oh my God. Did they figure it
court
out?
record. No, they never did. But they had to fight Zillow for like 3 weeks to get it taken off. Because they were having
about to
people
list
like
it?
drive by their house, and like people were trying to buy it and thinking
my
that they were
word.
going. It really kind of hurt their reputation too. You know, like the neighbors were like, "Oh, you're pre-foreclosure," and they're like, "Well, no, we're not.
We didn't do
We didn't do anything." And
Oh my
then
God.
even if it is a pre-foreclosure, I learned that if there's a house, you know, sometimes I get people send me photos. Hey, this house has this note on the front
all the
door.
time, all
How
the
many
time.
times do you get photos of the note on the front door?
Or that my neighbor has been out of here for 6 months and I know that they went to jail.
Yeah, can you tell me like what's happening? At that point, you would need a title attorney
Yeah.
to look up the address, legal description, and say, well, has an attorney been assigned to this address? Meaning, has the legal process of it being a foreclosure been started?
Right.
That process can take 6 months to
2 years.
I was going to say 2
2
years. Because they can appeal it.
Yes.
The owner can have their own attorney that's
Right.
trying to appeal. It's a very drug out process.
It's so difficult. It's not like you miss 2 payments and the bank says bye
no
at all.
If you have a note on your door, you're pretty far gone at
And
this
look,
point.
there's some people that I think have figured out the system. You could stay in your house for quite a while.
Yeah,
Quite a while while they go through that process.
right. And just live for free.
And then there's the tax sale people.
I was going to say, you have
my
tax sale,
God.
you have sheriff sale.
Right.
I have a lot of investors that show up at sheriff's sale, and I say, well, fine, go. I don't go with you because I don't get paid at the sheriff's sale.
Right. And you have to have cash at 2 p.m. that day. Not a loan of some kind. A cashier's check, cash money in hand that says, here, I'm buying the house today.
And they also need to know that the bank shows up to the sheriff's sale.
That's how the bank gets it back in foreclosure. Now, that's just in Louisiana.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's not like a thing.
Oh. I didn't know
we would
that.
have to go look up how you do a foreclosure in another state.
Very interesting.
Well,
Well,
I know it's a lot.
there's just so many different things. And I also like to start off by telling my investors, look, if there were that many deals out there, I would own more than 4 houses.
No doubt.
But here I am
Were you
as
like,
a
what kind of
conservative.
slouch do you think I am?
Right. As a conservative investor, I only own 4
Right.
in 11 years.
In 11, and I look at houses every day.
And I look at houses every day.
All
and
day.
this is all I have. So I tell them, I genuinely feel like I am doing you a disservice
Yeah.
as your investor agent. That's
Right.
my personal opinion. There's a guy in my office. He's fantastic at working with investors because he's not scared to go to these places.
Right. And he's probably all about the numbers.
He's all about the numbers.
Yeah.
He agrees 100% that this could work. I mean, that's who you need.
Yeah.
I was not the right fit anymore.
Because you're trying to live in the house.
Yeah, I'm trying to live on. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to drive over there. Okay.
But just for easy math, for example, one of my investors that was buying like in a declining area, he paid $80,000 for this like 2-bedroom house. They were renting for about $800 a month.
Okay.
So after 100 months or 8.3 years, he got all of his money back.
Yeah.
And then you just start making money at that point.
Yeah, it's all in, yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you sell the house for $5 later. You've got all your money
made all
back.
that money.
You made all that money.
Yeah.
And you know rent's gonna it could stay the same. It could go to $850, maybe $900. It could go to $750.
Right.
I mean, but you're gonna make it if you can hold on to it long enough.
But what was the expense to take care of it? Like,
right.
There are, like, yes, he made money.
Yeah.
No doubt.
If you keep it long enough and you are somewhat maintaining it, you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of how they look at it.
I think it would be if anyone didn't listen to episodes 51 and 52, I think 51 is the one where you take us through, like, I got this much rent, this much went into the account, then I had the money to pay for the roof, or, like, whatever, like, the actual numbers of owning a rental property. Anything else?
I think that's everything I had on my list.
I do want to reiterate, these are great clients for new agents who have the time and want to do the due diligence, want to do the work, the legwork, who want to learn, who want to
will learn so much by working with investors.
Because no matter who they are, everyone eventually is going to ask you a question about investing in real estate. Everyone.
Oh, that was another thing I had written down, was that I can't tell you how many people, if you ever see any good deals, let me know.
Let me know.
You should really start, just for fun in Trello, make like an investor column.
I have a list
of people that have just randomly said that.
Well, let me know.
It gets longer and longer and
right.
longer.
And you're like, well, I've got this whole backlog of people.
List, yeah.
But I think it's good to keep an investor list, because as you are going through properties, or you go to a listing appointment, or you go show another buyer who didn't want the house, you might be able to say, oh, you know what? This does fit the description of what so-and-so said.
Right.
I have a couple of investors who only look in one neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. Great. Mine
Easy.
are kind of like, I have some guys like that, yeah.
So it gets, you'll figure it out, but it's there's a learning curve.
And the biggest thing here is that don't just jump into it.
No.
Really try to take some classes, educate yourself.
Yeah.
Meet with whoever you can meet with to learn about what the process does look like and what you need to know if they do want to write an offer. Do you have accounts made for all these different websites?
Right. Oh, gosh, right. Okay. I wanted to give you a stat before we wrap it up.
Okay.
Because when these people pop up and they're like, I'd like to invest, here's a great stat you could share.
Okay.
Investors bought 90,215 homes in the third quarter of 2021.
Wow.
90,000, totaling $63 billion. In the third quarter of 2021, investors made up 18% of home sales, up from 11% at this same time last year.
Wow.
So there's so many investors in the market. It's just not easy. And the inventory affects them. And in fact, they're the ones that make the inventory hard for everyone else. That's a lot of people trying to buy the same thing.
Yes. Yes.
It just is.
It got to where when I would submit an offer, I would get back from the system an automated multiple offer notification form. So then I would have to redo all the paper. I even got to the point where I was like, do I even tell him that I got, I always did. But then I had to redo. And so I finally started telling him, look, every time you make an offer,
just what is the highest and best?
What is your highest and best? That was another one of his rules. You need to be driving by. You need to be going with your contractor to look at it.
We're not just throwing spaghetti against the wall.
You need to be your highest and best. Like, if I'm going to do the work, you're going to do the work too. Yeah. And this is going to be a team effort. No more of me doing everything. Yeah. And not seeing anything. Right. Oh. So that's one of the rules too. Is that every time you make an offer, how much do you like this house? Because you get one shot.
Yeah.
Because and that's really not my rule. That's just what's happening.
That's the market.
Yeah.
That's the market. It won't necessarily always be that way.
Right.
Okay. Good?
I'm good.
Oh, great. Let's do a toast.
Okay.
Hooray. Okay, so for today's toast, we are going to go to Emily Cabrera is toasting to Emily Heck is an agent. It's Emily to Emily.
Oh, lovely.
Emily Heck is an agent who has used your systems to get organized, and she's taking the time to teach me how she has made it all work in her thriving business. She literally gives me homework every week to help me learn, grow, and organize. She's my accountability buddy.
Accountability buddy.
Mm-hmm. And I am learning so much from her humble lessons. I want to be her as I grow up in this industry. Additionally, our team's transaction coordinator, Melissa Hodges, is a freaking rock star, and I actually get emotional when I think about how supportive and awesome she is. She's like a deep breath of air. Every time I start a transaction, I have more and more confidence because I know she's got my back.
Oh.
Would not be able to do this work without her. Thanks for letting me express my gratitude to these kick-ass women.
Wonderful. That's what we're here for.
I know. It says, I love that you and Alyssa have created a space for people to rise together in love, support, and general badassery.
That is what we're here for.
Okay, so Emily and Melissa, I am almost 100% sure are in Colorado.
Awesome.
So cheers to Melissa and Emily from Emily.
Wonderful. I love it.
Okay, y'all have a happy day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast. Let us know who we should toast to for the next episode.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hustle Humbly Podcast. If you have an episode, topic, or question, please email us at hustlehumblypodcast@gmail.com.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. See you next week. Bye.
This is the good life.